Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. It's Wednesday. No, it's not even Wednesday. It's Tuesday afternoon. I'm Paul John Dykes, jumping ahead of myself. And here I am joined by Ian Conroy, Liam Carrigan and Lawrence Conley. And guys, this is what it's all about. This is why Brendan Rodgers came back as part of the allure of Celtic Football Club is to try and push on, I think, in Europe. Ian, there's no point in asking for it and talking about it all year for when it actually happens and when it comes, not to step up and just absolutely get involved and compete. Tonight's about that for me. We need to actually compete against a top side. Can we do it?
I think we can. I don't want to. I'm an awfully one for not wanting to sort of tempt fate, but I was, there's a bit of a play on words. I suppose I was thinking, you have a war of attrition. I think this will be a war of transition. I think both teams are clinical enough to break each other's lines and break each other's press. I think there'll be goals in it. I think there will be goals in it. It could potentially be a high scoring draw, like a 2-2, 3-3, maybe. Hopefully we'll be on the right side of a win. Actually, I don't know, but I feel really confident. And after seeing, I mean, look, if we track it back to pre-season, I was vocal in saying that pre-season means nothing really. But if we actually map the pre-season with the start of this season,
yeah,
it's part of a bigger picture and a big positive picture. So playing against that higher caliber of opposition, albeit they were a bit further behind us in their preparation in pre-season. No team wants to lose a game, especially if it's a so-called Battle of Britain type game, So, they make more sense now, having sort of getting to this point and where we are, and having that good result, obviously at the weekend, that followed on from the great result against Bratislava. I think we're really in good stead, and I just think my only fear is that again that transitional play. If we lose the ball up the park and they break quickly. I think that our biggest frailty perhaps might be that kind of newish pairing in the centre of defence with Trusty. And not that Trusty stood up really well. He looks like a tank. But just because they've not played together very long, that might be a bit of a weak chink. And I said in the last pod that I'd noticed a couple of times Johnson, who I love dearly, was ball watching a couple of times. So I think against the Dortmund, you get punished when you do these kind of things, these fine margins.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, I'm buoyant, I'm positive. I can't wait, really. I'm really excited.
How great is it, though, Liam? I'll come to you on this one first. To actually have that buoyancy, that excitement, whereby, we're going into a game against Dortmund. We're all realists. We know that this is a huge challenge. This is a bigger challenge, not only than the domestic teams we'll face this season, but a bigger challenge than our opening fixture in this competition. I'd just like to point out, this is second place Celtic playing fifth place Borussia Dortmund tonight, Liam. But we are feeling very confident going into it, as confident perhaps as I've been in a while. I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm confident we're going to go in there and win 3-0. But it's about competing, isn't it? And when you come back, Rodgers comes back after everything that's happened. It's nights like tonight that he's come back for.
Aye, exactly. And I think the good thing is, because we got a win in that first game, it takes the pressure off a bit. There's not the same urgency, like we've got to win this to kind of stay in the tournament, which has been the case in past, going into a second or third fixture away against probably your strongest opponent. You're thinking, we actually need to take something here. We don't necessarily need to get anything tonight, but I think we can. I really think we can. Yesterday on Celtic Down Under, I predicted 2 each, and I'm going to stand by that. I think these are both teams that do a high press, which makes both of them defensively vulnerable. And like maybe I'm exaggerating here. Feel free to shoot me down in the comments. But you talk about an attacking press. In Daiza Maeda, we've got one of the best pressing players in world football at the moment, in terms of just shutting people down and tracking back. There are very few players in the world as good as him at that.
The thing is, Liam, you're echoing the view of the gaffer. Brendan Rodgers said something similar in the last couple of weeks. I said yesterday, there will be other brilliant pressing players out there. Let us know in the comment field, but Maeda is up there. He's absolutely up there. And I think that the big thing for me going into this season was there was a few players I think certain quarters had doubts about in terms of can they step up to the Champions League level. And I think in that first game, albeit against Slovan Bratislava, who will be one of the weaker sides in this group, I think we proved that they can step up. You know, you've got a guy in Adam Ida. Everybody was discussing his transfer fee at the beginning of the season, during pre-season. Can he step up to the Champions League? Well, he can. He absolutely can. And I think when you look at Maeda, Lawrence Maeda's a player who has also come in for criticism at this level in the past. Arguably, this season, he's got off to a flyer. You know, I think what he's shown us at the moment, which is something he might have lacked in the past, is that level of consistency. He's been brilliant since the beginning of the campaign, Lawrence, and let's hope he can continue that tonight.
Listen, definitely another cracking result of the weekend. You know, we continued the immaculate start to the league season. Watched it here in the Skylark with the King of Finglas himself, Mark McCabe, when young Marky boy are off to Dortmund. I think we'll win 2-0. You know, Maeda, he's adding goals. If it wasn't for, I don't know, who do we blame? Trusty or Barry that had, you know, another cracker. But you get into this game full of confidence. Dortmund, although they won the last game, they lost a couple of goals. They lost the one before, they're losing goals. Brendan's got us playing some cracking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Liam's touched on it. The away game's a bonus. Whereas the players will know that. You know, we've got 4 home games. We've done the business emphatically in the first game. So it is a bonus. And listen, I think the players will be full of confidence. I fancy us for 2-0 tonight, mate.
This, can I just say, is sensational so far. We've got a draw on the bottom right from Japan and Liam Carrigan, and all the way from the Skylark, we've got a 2-0 victory. This shows you what a good running form can do. I was talking this morning about this game, Ian, and I was looking back to that game against Real Madrid that Kevin McCluskey and I covered in Angie's second season, where I've got a similar feeling. I'm not going in expecting to beat this side by a margin, but I am going in thinking, you know what, we're well prepared. We'll come back to the CCV thing. That's the only real concern going into the game, the fact that Carter Vickers is missing. But it's about being prepared and being ready for these games. And in the past, we've kind of sleepwalked into campaigns, Ian. I feel it's a wee bit different this time round.
Yeah, and that's what I meant, I suppose, when I said about the pre-season games. You know, in isolation, they didn't really count for much, but now we add it to where we are now. And it bodes well. It really does bode well. I don't think we really had that under Ange. And I think, you know, Ange's proven it now down in England. It's kind of like, will he ever... It seems his moniker is kind of like that kind of valiant failure. You know, they kind of, you know, like if it was a boxing match, you know, they've gone in and they've entertained the crowd and they've got the moral victory, but they don't actually win the game. You know, they've been outboxed, and with that's what happened to us in that Real Madrid game. We got outboxed, you know, by a higher caliber of opponent. With Brendan, I think we're to extend the boxing analogy, you know, and you know, George Galloway mentioned it in the This Is Acsom episode. It's quite apt, you know. I think with Brendan, we're boxing clever, you know, and I think Kevin Graham made a really great point yesterday in the pod about now the team doesn't have the over reliance on the midfield because he's trusts the wingers, so we can actually spread it across the park.
Aye.
And that transitional play, we can go right, we can cut through teams all the way across the park. So that's what I'm excited about, you know. And I think obviously Dortmund, they're no mugs, they've conceded a few goals, but with just these tweaks that Brendan's, you know, it's kind of it's happened at the same time. This perfect storm whereby the good work he's done with the players we had already in situ, married with the players that he signed. Mm-hmm. Obviously with Kuhn, you know, adding into that, he's almost been like a new signing. It's just ratcheted up a couple of notches, I'd say, you know. It's fluid, it's exciting to watch, it's controlled, it's measured, it's disciplined, all the good adjectives you want to throw at it, you know. I'm not one to get carried away, but it's really, really positive, you know. We don't want to be overconfident. I'm certainly not being overconfident, but I've got a quiet confidence, and I can just feel it. You just have to get a gut feeling, don't you? And my gut feeling is, you know, we're in good shape, and I think we can all see that.
It's going in with no fear, you know, but not to the point where you're just throwing everything at it. As you say, there's a discipline to this Celtic side, even against St Johnstone, Liam, at the weekend. You know, it's not like we went one up in the first 5 minutes and then terrorised them for the rest. We just plugged away until we got that opening. And obviously, we have spoken over the last couple of days about the fact that, you know, we should have been one up because Maida scored a tremendous volley, and it's going to be on that compilation reel of the greatest goals that never were. It's up there with the likes of Jota's against Motherwell and a few others, even this season that we've scored that have been chopped off. What do you think is different? I know you're a student of Dyson Maida, Liam. What's different this season about him? Because I'm just putting it down to consistency. That's a broad brush approach to it. He seems to be a slightly different animal this time round.
I think what's happening with Maeda now is actually symptomatic of what's happening with most of the team, is that everybody knows exactly what they're expected to do now. There's a confidence and a comfort about how we play each game now. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't there for large parts of last season. It was maybe the last sort of a 6 to 8 weeks of last season, it started to click. In pre-season, when we were saying at the time, you can't judge pre-season games too much, but we went out and beat Man City and beat Chelsea. Mm-hmm. You're thinking, well, maybe we're onto something here. And since then, we've not looked back. We've got better with every game we've played. And this is going to be a huge, huge ask tonight. And look, as much as I'm saying I think we can get a draw, if we do lose tonight, let's not get too despondent, because remember, we're playing against the team that were second best in Europe last year. So we do have to kind of keep that grounded thing. But, you know, it's okay to dream. And I'm dreaming that we can do something tonight.
Absolutely, it's all right to dream, because that's what football's all about, isn't it? Without the dreamers, what have you got? You know, you've got negativity. You're going in thinking that you're beat before you've entered the field of play. Some brilliant comments. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved in the chat. You can comment on all the platforms that we're currently streaming on, and let's get stuck into some of these comments. It's great to hear from Franny Weldon on the old YouTube. I have a right good feeling about tonight. It seems to be permeating in amongst the Acsom troops as well. We've got Alan Boyne. Hail, hail, everyone. Got the old stomach churning feeling already. Good feeling for tonight. I'll tell you what, the nerves are a good thing. Some of the regulars coming in. Paddy Lavery fancies a win tonight. And Jungle Lion, let's enjoy the ride this season. It's going to be massive.
I don't know if you follow Franny Weldon, but his grandson might make it. He scored a cracker. So Franny posted it on Facebook. So you never know.
Who does he play for, Lawrence?
I don't know the boys' team he plays for, but yeah, scored a cracker. Franny posted it on Facebook. So you never know. Maybe watch out.
Yeah, indeed. Aye, it could be in the hoops of Glasgow Celtic at some point in the future. Barry O'Sullivan opens up the first discussion point, and that's all around the midfield. Barry says for him, Paulo Bernardo starts tonight. And it is a discussion because Bernardo comes in. We knew a fair bit about him from his season-long loan, Lawrence. We obviously worked hard to get the deal over the line, £3.5 million up front. And I think going back to something Liam said, you know, this season we're seeing Paulo Bernardo a wee bit more rounded, very much sure of himself and sure of his position within the Celtic side. And he stepped up, I feel, even though we lost Matt O'Reilly, we brought in Engels, and he has stepped up. Does he start for you tonight, Lawrence Connolly?
I think the form is in it. I would start him. I think Hatati's not done enough to start. So I'd be McGregor, Engels, and Bernardo. But I think the improvement in Bernardo's probably is testament to why we've got Brendan Rodgers as a coach. He's got a reputation for developing young players. You know, Portuguese under-21 captain. He's been here a bit longer. He knows the players better. But you can see the improvement in his game. He outstanding at the weekend. You know, and he must be looking at that and going, O'Reilly's gone, I've got a better chance of nailing down a place. Then Engels comes in. But he's rising to the challenge. And that's what you want with a competition in the squad, isn't it? Players that can face it head on, put in performances. And, you know, hats off to him, he's doing it. And, you know, hopefully he starts tonight and puts in a performance. You know, Brendan talked about the freedom it gives Callum, Bernardo being able to drop back, allows Callum to push on. Maybe that's why Callum's scoring some crackers.
He's really got off the mark this season. I think when you were looking at the loss of goals and goal contributions and assists, Ian, you kind of looked at that midfield and thought there will have to be a process of everybody else sharing the load, if you like. Callum McGregor has got off to a flyer. Bernardo's got a couple of goals already this season. And it's almost like it's gone unwritten, but they all just appreciate the fact that we need to step up that wee bit. And it has given McGregor the freedom, isn't it? Virtually every goal's a carbon copy of the last one. It's one of these situations now, every time he gets the ball, I think we want him to shoot.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you look, I mean, I think a possibility is being undone tonight. So that risk reward football that we do, that kind of, to break the press against the Dortmund team, we could end up looking daft. That is the risk to the sort of the opposite, which is being the reward. But in terms of that breaking the press, Callum's picking the ball up and he's starting to move. He's starting to move and he's obviously getting forward a lot more. In terms of the goals that O'Reilly brought last year, again, I think you guys touched upon it yesterday. If we had the Kuhn firing the way he's firing this season, the wingers were, I don't think possibly we would have played as much through Matt O'Reilly. I think that was just kind of the way it worked because that trust wasn't there. So the goals have, are being spread around a bit more. So yeah, but Callum McGregor is like, and you mentioned about his body shape changing as well. It's like whether the sort of the retirement from Scotland, I know it's not that many games really, if it's not a tournament, but it seems to have given a new lease of life, and that trust of having that one season of Brendan under his belt, he's just springboarding, and he might be having, like a Gary McAllister-esque, I suppose he's coming towards the end of his career, but he's really dominating, and he's adding a few goals as well. Was it Ryan said the other day he's the low shot king, is it?
Yes,
he
the grass cutters.
Yeah, but it's like that was Paul McStay as well. He used to rifle them as well, but Paul McStay used to be partial to one or two of those as well. So not a bad comparison.
Yeah, aim for the inside of the net. And the thing is, you're talking about breaking the press, and one of the ways to do that is just put the ball in the net. Now that sounds daft, but what I mean by that is you've got the sea of bodies in front of you. You watch every one of the Callum McGregor goals. Every one of them is precision personified because there are legs and bodies all in front of him, and he still manages to get the, like you say, that precision into the corner of the goal. That's one way to break it. Another way I've noticed, Liam, is we are enjoying the wee dink over the top. I mean, how many times at the weekend did Kyogo run onto that wee dink? And McGregor's doing it a fair bit. Alistair Johnson's doing it. It's not a long ball. Again, it's a precision pass. Why not tap into that kind of speedy thought that Kyogo's got? Because it can break the lines, can't it?
Well, again, it's something that we didn't have the confidence to consistently try and pull off last season because we weren't as cohesive a unit. Whereas now, you've got Kuhn who can do that. You've got Engels who can do that. You've got McGregor who can do that. Even going further back, Scales and CCV at different times have shown they're good at putting a ball through from deep as well. Especially with Kyogo's, not just his pace, but his kind of like turn of speed, his ability to sit right on that line and just be on the right side of onside is really, really something that can benefit us, especially against a team like Dortmund who plays such a high line. This is going to be different tonight because this is not a team that we ever play in Scotland, because nobody ever, apart from maybe Falkirk, no one's ever had a go at us like Dortmund will tonight. I take it you guys clocked that last week, by the way. Brendan saying that Falkirk have given us the hardest game we've had all season.
It was a mic drop moment, wasn't it? Oh,
I enjoyed that.
I mean, we're playing our team, so what would you expect?
Well, we'll come back to that, I'm pretty sure. Lawrence obviously focusing on Dortmund tonight. But yes, in terms of domestic dominance, the only goals we've been losing has been in the cup competition. Cup competitions, actually, if you think about the Champions League as well. But another kind of method of breaking that press is to get them on the back foot quicker. And I think Schmeichel's a big part of that, Lawrence. When you look at the speed in which he's able to find a man, throwing or passing. I mean, I'm going to say it, and I know we're only 6 league games in and 3 cup matches in. I think he's an upgrade on Joe Hart, Lawrence. And what I mean by that is I think he fits Brendan's system better.
The transition's definitely quicker. There's no doubt, transition. So we're not letting teams settle. We're getting them under pressure quicker, as I suppose Big Jack used to say. That's what it's about, isn't it? Don't let them settle. Get them under pressure. So, yeah, Schmeichel's definitely played his part there. And he's not bad at keeping the ball out, as the new record would suggest. But talking about dink balls over, what about Luke McCowan? The weekend, he dink pass into the ball. So, there's a player that's come in, perhaps from, an unfashionable club, but he's slotted straight in. He's got goals, he's got assists. We might see him off the bench tonight. Who knows? Celtic player making his mark in the Celtic fan rather, making his mark in the Champions League. But yeah, Schmeichel will be a big night for him. No Carter Vickers in front of him. But I think Scales has probably been our best defender all season anyway. You'd rather, on form, you'd rather Scales in me this season than Carter Vickers.
You know what, Lawrence, if you're going to be brutally honest about it and take all your perceptions and predisposed ideas off the table and just look at the performances, Liam Scales has been the best defender we've seen all season. Obviously, and I'm probably talking for most of us here, we would have loved to have seen the normal partnership. Going into a game like tonight, though, Ian, with Trusty, it's a massive ask. But again, like the tagline says, this is why he's here. This is why we've shelled out £6 million. It's not so you can sit on the bench and, find your way against Falkirk and St Johnstone. This is the test. This is, if you want to be a successful player at Celtic, you need to step up for games like tonight as well.
Yeah, and the fact that it's one for one, like I mentioned that last week in the pod, it's not a lot of changes. The only other, I suppose, conundrum that we're guessing as fans is Hatate or Bernardo.
Yeah,
but the fact that we've had this change enforced upon us, it's only one out, one in, which is good. It's obviously different to the Falkirk game. So he looked an able deputy, and he looks, like I said before, he looks like a tank. He looks like a really big, strong unit, not afraid to sort of push forward at every opportunity, really, and backing himself to do it. I like to see that, So. I think Scales has learned a lot. Trusty's been playing in the Premier League. I know Sheffield United were routinely tanked, but I think he gave a good account of himself, despite the fact that he was in a poor team. Playing against top players week in, week out is only going to have helped him. So that experience and that kind of in arduous times as well, you find out more about yourself. You mentioned about Charlie Mulgrew yesterday. And it's like through adversity. That can bring you on as well. The same as Rodgers when he went away and he had the adversity at Leicester towards the end of his career. You're only going to grow and you're only going to benefit from it. So I think Trusty, I'm not trying to big the guy up too much, but I'm not really frightened, of what I've seen so far. So yeah.
Well, the point you were making yesterday, in case anybody wasn't tuning in yesterday, and I'm sure you'll get it on the catch-up, was that Charlie Mulgrew said he would never have been a Celtic player had he not left Celtic. So he had to leave to come back. He had to leave and learn the ropes, if you like, earn his spurs to come back and be a proper footballer. And the point I was trying to make and connect that to Brendan Rodgers is, in terms of the European endeavours, maybe he had to go away and learn how to be more pragmatic at a team like Leicester, both domestically and also in Europe, to come back to Celtic and go into a game like tonight thinking, well, you know what, we can be cavalier, but not too cavalier. We can't just throw caution to the wind here. There's going to have to be a level of pragmatism to get a result in this stadium that holds 83,000. I wish Celtic Park would increase the capacity to 83,000. I was talking to a gentleman, a big Acsom fan and supporter at the event on Friday night called Bruce. Big shout out to you, Bruce. And you were talking about being exiled from Scotland for a number of years. When you came back, you went straight on that waiting list, and you're still on that waiting list. There's a lot of people like Bruce out there who want to go back and watch Celtic again. So let's increase the capacity. 83,000. There is the famous yellow wall. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. 26,000 in one stand. Is that right? 26,000. That's sensational. The yellow wall. And I think there's this relationship, if you like, and a friendship between the clubs and the fan base. And obviously we speak about Murdo McLeod, we speak about Paul Lambert, we don't speak too much about Jeremy Toljan, but there's a friendship between the fan bases and also between the clubs. You'll never walk alone. When that's played tonight, it'll be the entire stadium singing it. So there's going to be walls of green and white. There's going to be walls of yellow and black. Yellow, if you're not from Fife, is yellow, incidentally. And also the fans today, I mean, I've already started seeing footage from last night, and quite a few of the Acsom troops are over there. Asim, Natasha, Patrick McGill, Declan McConville, maybe a few others. They're all over there taking in the sites and probably getting a pint down at the Market Square and all this kind of stuff as well. And there's chat, Liam, that the Green Brigade somehow have managed to set up a TIFO for tonight over in Dortmund as well. Just tremendous. And that's part of it, isn't it? It's part of putting your stamp, not just off the park, because the fans are going to do that anyway. And it's about putting your stamp on the park as well tonight.
Yeah, and I think that whatever TIFO they've arranged, it would probably be with the certainly the support and possibly the cooperation of Dortmund, because I think their fans are of a very similar mindset to ours, in terms of that whole kind of when you go there as a fan, it's not just to watch the team, it's also to actively engage and create an atmosphere. And it's also worth noting how cheap tickets are in Germany. Scotland could learn a lot for that. The economy across Europe isn't that great right now, but German fans frequently turn out for their teams because they can afford to. And I really think that Scotland, with its 3/4 empty stadiums most weeks, would do well to look at that.
One of the interesting things about this is obviously over the weekend I was otherwise engaged in Gracie's doing the event with Charlie Mulgrew and Paddy Mullane, and Chris brilliantly hosted the game against St Johnstone on Saturday night alongside Ryan, Kevin and Sean. But one of the things Ryan did is he was looking at that, wasn't he? He was looking at the percentage of empty seats in Scottish football grounds. It was quite an interesting study that he did, Ryan. So I'm going to try and find that just while we discuss this here. So here we go. So if you look at Celtic, capacity 60,411. Our attendance is 97.93% over a campaign. And obviously there's certain things, games where seats can't be utilised and all this kind of thing. But that's a sensational result. Rangers are sitting on 95.49. But there's other teams. Hearts, 93.23. St Mirren, 86.33. Dundee United are high, as are Aberdeen and Hibs. But then you start looking at some of the other clubs. Motherwell, way down at 40%. 40%, Liam. You said 3/4 full. 40% full over a season. That is shocking. Kilmarnock 41, no much better. St Johnstone are at 61 and Dundee are at 62. But these clubs, I mean, at the weekend, you seen St Johnstone. I mean, a yellow wall, that was a blue, red and yellow wall of empty seats. Lawrence, can you justify why they shut us out?
So I was going to get back to some of these clubs have stadiums that are too big for them, and that was driven by powers in Scottish football. 10,000 seater stadiums for fans that could hardly attract 4,000. I don't know who they had to buy the steel off to build the stadiums at the time, but it certainly made all clubs in Scotland at that time less competitive and kind of cleared the way for the EBT All-Stars. So I think it's
it's on our own, guys. Just sit back and enjoy it. Get the cigars out, right?
But I think it's a bit of a hangover for that. They've got stadiums that are too big. The question is, what do they want to do to fill them? They apparently don't want Celtic or the Rangers fans in these days. So what are they going to do? Are they just going to leave them empty? Are they going to engage with local schools? How are they going to try and grow their fan base? And they think it's by not selling them to Celtic or Rangers fans. Listen, good luck to them, but surely that puts league reconstruction back on the table. The argument was they needed the full houses from Celtic and Rangers twice a season. Well, you're denying yourselves the full houses, so what's the argument against league reconstruction now? It's something that we could push for. But yeah, there's teams there that have got stadiums that are too big. Like I said, and it's not often that, well, certainly this century, that we've seen unsuccessful Celtic teams. It's harder to watch an unsuccessful team than a successful team. You'll remember going kind of early 90s, kind of up to 95, we weren't winning a lot, maybe finishing 5th in the league. It wasn't great. The attendances weren't certainly 60,000 we get every week now. But they need to come up with an idea of how to sell them and maximise their revenue. And one of the ones they they seem to have come up with is sell less tickets to Celtic fans. I don't know how that sells more as a total, but it's maybe a math sum. How do you sell more, sell less? But it's weird.
It is very unusual, Lawrence. By the way, a couple of points. Firstly, many of those stands were built by a company called Stadia Group, who, if you were to look at the list of directors, included David Murray and Gavin Masterton.
I'm shocked.
Interesting link. But also, when you go back to those dark old days, I'll tell you what, I had some of the greatest times not watching the actual action on the park, but being at the football and travelling to the football during those dark old days, because I just think sometimes self-deprecating humour is something we're pretty good at. And we knew where we were in the food chain, and we knew what had to happen. Many times through the pages of fanzines and from groups like Save Our Celts and Celts for Change, we knew what had to happen at Celtic, and indeed it did happen. But Lawrence, you're right. I think that they've got to be creative. We talk about this all the time. They've got to be creative, and sometimes the creativity comes in the form of the pricing of it as well. And we've been talking about the German football model for a long, long time. A couple of weeks ago, in terms of the football side of it, we spoke to Scott Coyne of the Belgian Football Podcast, who told us how their football development setup is. I mean, we speak to guys, Lawrence, and you think to yourself, you should be involved in Celtic's Academy, and they're nowhere near Celtic's Academy. I'm talking about guys like Brian McClare, or Jackie McNamara, or I would even throw John Collins into the mix. These people who have got a view on how to build successful football teams from the roots up. Yet, for some reason, we just go with the tried and tested, yet not very successful guys who have been there for about 2 decades.
Look, listen, it's the conundrum, isn't it? There's no reserve team. How do you prepare young players for that big jump in quality? There's not many can make it. Who was the last guy to make it? Really, maybe Tierney. It's a huge jump. So we need to start making better use of the loan market. Well, would Brian McClare or John Collins make a difference? Are they better coaches than the guy that comes in? I don't know, but that gap's still going to exist. And I think it's part of the change you need to do with Scottish football. And I know we're trying the B team out in the lower leagues, but we need quicker change, don't we?
That's how a brick wall, Lawrence, isn't it?
You look at the national team struggling, that's a symptom of it. You're like, and it's okay maybe if you're all, involved with the SFA, you get your trips away, you're still at the table with UEFA, but players people want to see a better team. They want to see better players coming through. And there seems to be that gap, I would say, probably from under 16 level to make it to the first team. And some players have chosen, maybe like Lennon Miller, it's better if I go to Motherwell and get game time.
Mm-hmm. It's a great example of it.
Yeah.
He was at Celtic as a kid. He went to Motherwell. Look at what he's doing now.
Yep, but it's almost as if the SFA have been faced with this for 20, 30 years and done nothing about it. The government gets involved in a lot of things. This is something they should definitely get involved in, give some pathways for kids. Give them homegrown heroes. Make it easier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Give them aspirations. Look at what Jimmy Johnston Academy does. It can be done with the right people there and the kind of right aims at heart. The SFA doesn't seem to possess those.
Self-serving. They're self-serving, Lawrence. But also going back to the football club and filling out stadiums, there's a deeper, wider advantage you doing that for the communities. So if you think about it, Liam, a football stadium lying somewhere in Fife half empty, you then drive around the city centre of that particular city, and all the pubs are lying empty as well, and they're shutting down because they're not getting that same injection every other Saturday or throughout the season where they can almost staple in, this is my budget, but I know the Pars will be playing this weekend and this is going to boost it. Because the football can be the heartbeat of a community, Liam, and I think that's sometimes overlooked as well. You look at a Celtic European game at home in the Champions League and what it does for surrounding businesses, hotels, restaurants, the high street. Some people, believe it or not, once they hit Glasgow, they want to go shopping from elsewhere in the world. So, yeah, it is something that needs to be done. We're very backwards in terms of the Scottish game. Let's have a look at the opponents then. We know about the previous times we've played them. Me and I remember the games. I remember them really well. I keep going on about the fact that Stuart Slater was the best player on the park when we played Dortmund away the last time. in the early 90s. Is that you sniggering, Liam? In the early 90s. You remember Stuart Slater, don't you?
First team he beat.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, was it no Karl-Heinz Rummenigge's younger brother, Michael Rummenigge, that scored for Dortmund that night?
That's a good point. I know that Chapuisat scored in the Celtic's home leg. But yeah, Stuart Slater, I'm going to have to dig this footage out. Might even stick it up on the socials. He was running riot on that particular occasion. That was the last time we visited that stadium. People have mentioned that they were beaten 5-1 against Stuttgart. That is their only defeat this season. They have scored 4 times on 3 occasions out of 7 games. They are a free scoring side, and in their first fixture, they beat Club Brugge away from home 3-0. I've also mentioned the kind of transfer fees that they've shelled out in the pre-season. They have strengthened the team. There's a few interesting dynamics here. The first one I would say is, and a lot of people have kind of made a big point of this, Nuri Sahin, who's the coach, he took over in the pre-season there, played under Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool. Apparently they didn't get on. I'm not really interested in that, to be honest with you. And what I'm kind of looking at is almost like, the apprentice and the teacher. That I do think there definitely is a dynamic there where your player is now the manager. So Brendan Rodgers knows this guy inside out. So the new manager is going to have something to prove, but Brendan won't want to get beat by an ex-player, will he?
Of course he won't. And it's like, and his advantage is obviously having the players at his disposal that he's got. I pause it if Sahin was at a Bratislava, it'd be fairly routine. So we've got that to contend with. Two great teams in European sort of football and history, and I think Brendan's obviously got a lot of history of sort of seeing off sort of the young pretenders, but again, the firepower and the armory.
Stevie G pop into your mind for a wee second there? Yeah,
it possibly might have. I think he only beat him once, didn't he?
Yeah,
Stevie G only beat Brendan once, and that was kind of, I suppose, where he maybe partially checked out. Perhaps we'll say that we'll just keep that one in our pocket, But as I said before in my previous response, we're boxing clever. And Brendan has got his purring at the right time. So I think we're getting Dortmund. Is there ever a good time to get a team like Dortmund? I think we're at the optimum point of getting someone that we can actually get a result, be it a draw or even a win. I'm going to whisper it, a win maybe, but certainly a draw is a distinct possibility.
Lawrence is going 2-0.
I don't think Dortmund will do that well, mate.
Look, honestly, Lawrence, I think it's not a bad shout, mate. Honestly, I think as I say, our only frailty would be that one change we trusted, how that works. But it's that risk and reward that we play. If they've got the speed of thought and the technical ability to break that press, and it's so finely balanced.
It's what Kuhn's going to do. Back to Germany. Yeah.
We'll speak about Kuhn. We'll speak about Engels and Kuhn, because obviously there is that knowledge in the game over there as well, Lawrence. 4-2-3-1 is how we expect Dortmund to play. Fast-paced side. You've got a German, you'll probably know about him, ex-Brighton midfielder called Pascal Gross in the midfield. You've also got, apparently, Julian Brandt is someone we need to watch at set pieces with the fast-paced wing play of Karim Adeyemi. We've got a guy called Serhu Girassi, who is a goal machine, 25 last season in the Bundesliga. So obviously we're not going to underestimate them, Ian, but I think you're right. Boxing clever. If Celtic, listen, I don't think Celtic will go through tonight's game and not score a goal. This is the thing, right? And I think it's all about the momentum of trying to get that first goal tonight. It sounds cliched. I think we're capable of doing it. We have shocked teams in the past, Liam. The likes of Maida, who we've already spoken about, taking them by surprise. The dink over the top, the Kyogo run. The Kyogo run in the knowledge that you've got a decent VAR system where you're not going to get called offside unless it's definitely offside. That's a weapon that we've got. And I'm going to throw it out there. Arnie Engels is going to score a corner this season. He is going to score a corner from the left-hand side as you look at the goals. Did you see that effort he had against St Johnstone? He's a precision set-piece taker. I wouldn't put it past them tonight to open the scoring, Liam. There you go. It might be fanciful.
Aye, I mean, I definitely think that it's good that we've got an established penalty taker now, apart from anything else.
Absolutely.
And for a young boy to have the confidence to do that, especially on top of the pressure of being, our record signing. But, he's also played where we're going tonight. He's played there before. He's done it. And he himself said yesterday, I think it was, if you can play at Celtic Park, you can play anywhere. So I think that's a great attitude for everybody going into the game tonight. And I'm just seeing in the comments there, I think George is saying 20-1 first goal, Engels. I think that is well worth a punt.
That is, isn't
Please
it?
gamble responsibly.
Absolutely. Gamble responsibly. I'm going to come to you, Lawrence, because you came up with a good point, and it's something we need to discuss, and it is Nicholas Kuhn, right? And again, we talk about dynamics of going into a game. Like and Arnie Engels has said, if you've played at Celtic Park, you should be able to play anywhere. So it's not as though we're going to be overawed by the occasion. But I've been saying all season, Kuhn has something to prove, maybe to himself, maybe to other people in the German game. He's talking about being a German internationalist, a full international. He's got underage caps at every single level. He seems to be a man on a mission this season, Lawrence, and he's been outstanding. I worked it out yesterday. A goal or assist every 43 minutes this season.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. Now he's back to full strength. Remember, he first came in with this guy doesn't look like a football player. And then obviously comes out, he lost weight, dental issues. But this season, absolutely pivotal to what we're doing. Unlucky not to get an early breakaway for us, when he gets heels clipped.
I know, and not even a free kick, Lawrence. Not even a free kick.
St John's a player for it was. He stopped. Just the ref didn't. But yeah, Kuhn's been phenomenal for us. And I think he'll go there with something to prove. He's brought his game to a different level, and I think he's going to be really key for us tonight. He'll want to turn it on without doubt. So yeah, Brendan's bringing the best out of him. And if he continues like this, I saw something online. I don't know if it was Yogi Junior or who, but somebody said, would you take Jota back for Kuhn based on Kuhn's this season? Like, no chance. Not a chance on what Kuhn's delivered so far. So
how's Jota playing? How's Jota? I'm greedy. I want both of them. Bring them back. How's he playing with Red?
He's moved, mate. I just heard they'd moved. Haven't looked at it, mate. He's dead to me. He's moved.
He's dead to me. Did you say the same about Brendan Rodgers when he left? Was he dead to you as well?
Dead worse, mate. But on the Brendanometer, he's definitely Brendan, isn't he? He's as opposed to TR. But yeah, he's definitely, I think, won everyone one round. But what a performance he put in last season and the development of the players this season.
No,
what would you expect for a manager at that level? Who, the recruitment team seem to have done a cracking job from him. The board have backed him. Brendan's talked about this, it takes all three elements of Celtic to get the best out of it. And it seems to have brought the club together, and it's doing that.
Yeah, he has, absolutely. And, Tony Roper spoke about that as well. Those three pillars of Celtic, coming together, and it's almost an unstoppable force. I think, didn't Brendan call it the Holy Trinity first time round?
Yeah.
I'll run with that. Kevin Mullen, welcome to the show, Kevin. Good to see you. Afternoon Acsom, buzzing for the game tonight. Let's go out and make history. 3-2. Wow, the confidence is flowing. Ian, I've not asked you your prediction yet. I'm going 1-0 Engels. We've got 2-2 from Liam. We've got 2-0 win from Lawrence. What about yourself, Ian?
Well, I think I said that the first question you asked me, I says I can see it being a high scoring draw, a 2-2 or a 3-3. It's kind of a sneaky one I've got for me. Sneaky feeling that I've got. Obviously, though, these things can get clipped, and we might get a right doing, But I think with the two teams, the way they set up, we could give them a doing. If we get, it's those fine margins again. I think, it's, and that might sound really ridiculous to say that we could give them a doing, but you looked at when we played Real Madrid, they were always going to come back into it, but we could have been 2 or 3 up against Real Madrid, and who knows how the tide would have turned, if that had happened. So if we score early, for example, and then potentially get another one, the way we're playing, we could get a handsome win, maybe a 3-1. But I'm going to go 3-3.
3H, that'll be a classic. They'll be selling the DVD if that happens, Ian. Liam, I want to come to you just for a moment, because obviously when we are able to raise awareness of any good causes, we try to do so on a Celtic State of Mind. And you and the Celtic Down Under guys are on it again for the month of October. Tell us what you're up to.
Yeah, last year we did the 1 Foot Forward initiative, which is it's an Australian-based mental health charity called the Black Dog Institute, and they help people with mental health issues, suicide prevention, that kind of stuff. And what we basically do is each of us is going to be walking a preset amount in order to raise money for the mental health charity. So I did 300 kilometers in the month of October last year. Now, since then, I've my mum has passed away, and I've in the months following that, I've become really aware of how important mental health is. Looking after your own mental health as much as looking after that of your family, your friends. So, in tribute to Mum, I am going to try and go for 500 kilometers in the month of October. So I'll need to do about 25 kilometers a day in order to get that comfortably, allowing for a few days I'm going to lose to the rain, the wind, whatever. But yeah, I'm going to do that. And I'm asking you guys, please, if you can, donate. And look, mental health we're talking about here, right? Literally the cost of a phone call could save somebody's life. That is how, we talk about fine margins in football. Very fine margins in mental health as well. Sometimes just giving somebody a phone call at the right time can completely change their destiny. And I will be walking and doing that for my family, my friends, and statistically 30% of all people, have mental health issues at some point in their life. So there's a good chance that almost everybody in the comments today either has faced mental health issues at some point in their life or knows somebody who is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll be posting the donation link later on. I don't have it handy right now, but I will be sharing it. It's the 1 Foot Forward initiative, and as a wee incentive for all of us here, because a couple of things. First of all, I personally raised about 300 Australian dollars last year. Celtic Down Under as a group, we made about 1,500. We're hoping to go better than that this year. So I have set a personal target of 500 Australian dollars, so basically $1 per kilometre. And what I will do is, I'm a football shirt collector, as you know, and I have here a Georgios Samaras match issue shirt from about 2009, I think. Now, I don't know if it's match worn. I do not have any paperwork with it. I picked it up from a trusted source, and it is a match issue jersey. Everybody who makes a donation, whether it's 50p or 50 quid, doesn't matter. Everybody who makes a donation of any kind, I'll put all the names in a hat, and we'll do it on the show for transparency. And I'll draw out somebody who'll get that shirt, and I'll personally pay to get it sent over to you. Whatever. I'll maybe chuck in a couple of others from the collection.
So because your missus keeps moaning at you for having too many football jerseys, Liam.
Well, she's not so miserable now that I punted a few of them for a few quid.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. No, listen, that's a brilliant gesture. And once you've got the links to hand, we'll share them obviously on our socials and under the video, Liam. It's a fantastic thing that you and the lads are doing, and if we can assist you in any way, we will do. Brilliant, absolutely superb gesture. Thanks for sharing that with us. And Big Sammy, why not talk about Sammy on a European night? That's when the guy came alive. Monty, welcome back to the show. Hope the GB has a great tifo tonight at the game. It becomes part of the match going experience, Will they do the huddle? You'll never walk alone. The big lights, the light show. What's the tifo going to be? They have written their names into the folklore of going to the Celtic game, Lawrence, haven't they? The Celtic experience. The Green Brigade are part of that.
Oh, totally. The aim and the boys provide so much of the atmosphere at Celtic Park. Don't know if they'll ever get their green wall wish, but they seem to be they're definitely social consciousness of football, you know. So we'll see with latest developments if they perhaps reference them or not in Germany. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, you'll be the same watching Twitter and Facebook and seeing it, all the fans kind of doing their John Candy's ways to Dortmund. It's great entertainment, isn't it? You know, and
nice 80s reference there, mate.
Yeah, cracking answer, cracking film, mate. You know, but yeah, Green Brigade. It's going to be great to see what they've got prepared for tonight. The main thing though is I'm really looking forward to seeing what Brendan Rodgers has got prepared. Honestly, I think we go over there 2-0, mate.
Oh, Lawrence, I would love that to be right. By the way, you're not always wrong, I would say, because last week or the week before we were speaking about getting someone from the Celtic women's team on this show. It's happening. That's all I'm saying. That's all I can give. It's happening. All right. So fair play to Lawrence. A big shout out today, actually, because I think one thing that blows me away when we do live events in particular, or we get an email or a DM from someone who tunes into Acsom, is just how much of a community that's developed over the last few years. And we don't take it for granted. It blows my mind. And a big shout out to part of that community, because they've lost their brother. There's, John Watt, a boy from the Carlton, a lifelong Celtic fan. So a big shout out to Jim and all his friends and family who have lost John, who was a great Celtic fan. And I'll tell you what he did. He was one of these people who developed a Celtic scrapbook. Remember back in the day, you would have a scrapbook, right? But he did it insofar as the big articles and everything else from the 50s all the way through to the European glory years. And he eventually got it bound. So it's like one of these big books you would get in a library archive, right? It's stunning, leather-bound book. So yes, we got the sad news today that John's passed away. So a big shout out to all his friends and family as well. Hopefully we get a result for you tonight, John. David Boyle, this is a level we need to become comfortable at. Let's go. Come on, the boys. Nothing but positivity coming through here. And yeah, you know what? When you're doing something live, there is always that risk that someone can have a look at it the following day. But we're talking about the here and now. This is how we're feeling right now about tonight's game. Stephen Donnelly, hail, hail. All hope the boys give a good account of themselves tonight and put in a fine performance. And we've got Corn Celt. Is this the time when Celtic shine? I'm convinced it is. Hail, hail. Come on, you boys in green. I want to touch on the game at the weekend, Lawrence, because it was another vintage performance by Celtic. Greg Taylor was taken off at half-time, precautionary. Valle came on, shut up a few doubters, I think. He done really well in the second half. Are we concerned about Taylor tonight? Is he a worry, injury-wise?
Hopefully not. I've not heard it. I heard it was just a bit tight, so I'm fully expecting him to start. It's another brilliant performance in spite of our officials. Absolutely outstanding. It's going to be interesting what we call them, say, roundup of this month's shows. If you look at this weekend,
yeah,
how that wasn't a goal. The Hibs penalty to keep us off his line. There's a boy encroached in the box.
Yeah,
two Rangers supporters who were on VAR failed to spot the encroachment of the keeper off his line. Surely they've got a checklist and go, right, set a penalty. Let's slow this down. Is MD in the box? And they have to tick no. Is a keeper on his line? They have to tick yes. Failed both those tests. You're wondering how did two Rangers support and VAR officials miss that? It's bewildering, mate. And how Trusty was penalised. You're like, guys ran into him. Trusty's moving towards the ball here. The guy's running it. It was just mind blowing, mate. I don't think.
What did he expect Trusty to do, Lawrence? Stop and let the guy run in front of him, and then start running again.
See if it is a foul against Trusty, and he's put his arm up to kind of because he's caught the guy, corner his eye. He's hit the guy in the head with his arm. Then is it foul for violent conduct? If it is, there wasn't even a yellow card. If the ref's saying that's a foul, what's it for?
Yeah,
because it's coming together. He's got to be saying it's violent conduct or something like that. It's just a coming together. He's not blocked him. Trusty's going towards the ball. This boy's coming across. Ball's not going to make it there. It's just bizarre.
He's not raised his arm or anything. He's not raised his arm. It's almost like Trusty's been penalised for being a unit.
I know. Yeah. He's bounced off him. What would have happened, Ian, had Trusty also fallen to the ground? What would have happened?
Exactly. You said that yesterday in the pod, and I couldn't agree more. I think the goal would have been allowed.
It would need to.
The fact that there's a size difference, and Trusty looks a bit of a man mountain. he's bounced off him, you know. So I think
the thing is, wrong decision. But the thing is, Ian, you've got to call it out. We've absolutely pummeled the side 6-0. We're going into a game against Dortmund tonight. Everybody's excited, but you still got to call it out because it's really, really poor base level decision making.
Even worse was the Phil Lundgren. That it's clipped his heels. Might be accidental, but it's a free kick.
What if Kuhn
stops?
Yeah, and one movement, no, Lawrence, and the way that he's playing at the moment, Kuhn takes one touch and he's in on goal.
Yep, totally.
You know,
and it's.
So that's a frustration, and this is why I love the difference in standard when it comes to playing in the Champions League with regards to VAR, because you'll see tonight an offside, and you can tell to the nearest toenail if it is offside or not. And I think that's something that we need to look at. James Kerwin, for Celtic, we have to go out onto that pitch tonight and put our stamp on this competition. I agree with you, James. Dortmund are a tough nut to crack. We play with cohesion, high press, and interplay. We take the game to them. Liam Carrigan, we go out there and get any kind of the result that the three of us, or the four of us rather, has spoken about on the show today. Let's say even the worst of those results, the 2-2, right? And you get a point. What does that do for the momentum of this campaign for Celtic?
It says to me that the path is clear. Win 2 of those 3 home games, and that's probably going to be enough to get us through. Mm-hmm. And I would fancy, as if we do get something tonight, to have the momentum to go on and win all 3 of those home games. I really think that you saw, not just in the Bratislava game, but all season, that the Celtic Park is becoming a fortress again. We're slowly getting back to the level where we could. Barcelona were scared to come to us. Bayern Munich were scared to come to us. Lyon came to us and we gubbed them 2-0. I was there that night. I remember that. We are getting back to that level slowly but surely. There's definite progress, and even if we lose tonight, I still think we've got more than enough to get through to that final 24.
It's one of the games, Liam, that I looked at when the draw was made, that I thought to myself, I don't expect to get anything from that game. No. And then I'm starting to count the points from the games that I think we can get something from. So, as you said, you come away with anything tonight, and then you're looking at the home games and thinking, we could get the job done at Celtic Park now. It's going to be a great position to be in. Gordon Coney comes in, afternoon Acsom. Cap Diem should be the motto for tonight. Leave everything on the pitch. Absolutely agree with that. Liam Devine, here we go. Need help finding a song, not Viva la Quinta Brigada, did I pronounce that right once? But similar. It was on YouTube, but has been taken down. There's a lyric like, I'm not a hero, but in the fight against Franco, I played my part. I played my role. Liam, someone in the comment section or someone listening later on will know the name of the song. So leave it in the comment section. Does anybody on here know what it is, Liam? Lawrence?
No, but someone in the comments has already posted the answer. So
there you
if you just look back through it, you'll see it.
The answer is out there, Liam. Ian Corbett, hail. Really looking forward to the game tonight. The way the team is playing has me full of confidence in them. Tough test. But this is where we want to be. Lawrence Conley, you watched it, the Skylark, and if so, who with?
Skylark will be quiet tonight, mate. The week. Neves at a concert, so I've got to pick her up after a concert. She's going to look. I'm extremely disappointed that I'm not watching the hoops. You know,
what's the concert?
When she buys concert tickets, I don't understand why she's not checking the fixture list. It's obviously bad parenting, and it will be addressed. But yeah, it's going to be quiet tonight, mate.
Quiet. I thought you'd have had the whole, all the German beer on tap, the whole thing happening. No,
I've got some. Bad gave me a keg of Australia and a good deal the weekend there. So that's Moretti's ran out. So it'll be Australia that's on for next month. But no, as I said, Mark McCabe, the king of Finglas, watched the St Johnstone game. He's in Dortmund with Mark Ogg McCabe, and Big Dave from Essex was over at the weekend. But yeah, tonight will be quiet, mate.
Okay.
Skylark. Well, don't be quiet. It'll only be me in it. Maybe shouldn't say quiet, but
If you get a 2-0, I'm pretty sure it'll be less than quiet. Now, next week, obviously, we'll ask you how it went. Acsom, we're busy as always, so get involved in what Liam has already described today. We're going to be getting behind Liam and sharing all the links. It will be under the video. A couple of other links under there. The first one is that Acsom has been nominated again for 2 national awards at this year's Football Content Awards. Lawrence knows how good these award ceremonies are. You were down at the previous one down in London.
Been at a few now, mate. See, we keep just calling out Aksom's name on a regular basis when we're there. I know it doesn't happen for every pod, but
it was a good night. They're always good nights. They're great nights, and it's down to the people that nominate. So thanks everybody for nominating Acsom. We're down there. We're hoping to win another couple of awards. Why not? And you can help us by putting in part of your vote. 50% goes on votes, 50% on the judges. Let's see how we get on. We're up for the best international podcast and the best influencers. So it would be great to go down there and come up the road to another couple. And also, Gordon Stratton, John Hartson, at the last check, we're down to 68 tickets. There are 4 weeks to go if you want to come along at BAD in Glasgow, the 25th of October. It's going to be a cracking evening of Celtic chat.
Strachan's going to be brave enough to slaughter Big John on stage, live on stage?
Oh, yes. But Big John will be brave enough to come back with something.
He can look after himself, without a doubt.
It will happen, Lawrence, and it will not be contrived. It's just the way it is.
I think Strachan will have videos of John's misses.
No, Strachan the last time had videos of Mark McGee, and he just ripped them to shreds. And it's his best mate. So if that's what he can do to his best pal, then who knows? Gordon Stratton comes along with video footage and then talks you through it and slags folk off. And it's great. So looking forward to that. Come along, video link underneath.
You were talking yesterday. You were talking yesterday about Strachan nearly going to Germany and the Scottish players that went. Did you hear about the fact that it was obviously their best mates, McGee and Strachan? So Strachan, he talked McGee into going to Germany, didn't he?
He did.
So McGee's and their wives are best pals. So he goes over to Germany, and then Strachan's like, "Oh, got something to tell you. I'm not going."
I pulled out. The thing is, Strachan got like a couple of $100,000 fine for doing that. So it was the same agent. So Strachan gets the offer first. He's away to Germany. He's, this will be great. We'll bring Mark and his missus will come over and all this kind of stuff. So Mark signs for Hamburg. He couldn't get out the deal. Strachan does. And Mark McGee ends up coming back to Celtic. I liked McGee at Celtic, I've got to say. He was a vital part of that late 80s team. 1987-88 being the best season, but also the following one as well. I liked Mark McGee.
Do you remember that shuffle he did? The quick feet.
I know, yeah. It was amazing. He was worth £1 million.
I saw the song had his
absolutely.
It cost £1 million.
But you look at the Hearts game, in particular, the semi-final, Lawrence, where we're 1-0 down. And by the way, I wish VAR was kicking. In fact, I don't, because we wouldn't have got it anyway. McPherson just takes Bonner out. Remember the goal that Hearts scored and it stood? Yeah. And then we make the substitutions. McGee's one of them. Mark McGee, much maligned as a manager. Maybe we'll try and get him on This Is Acsom. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. It's been brilliant. It's positive. We've got a 3-3, a 2-2, a 2-0 and a 1-0. What can go wrong? Join us tomorrow at 12:30, but also half an hour before kickoff tonight, we will be live. Thank you to Ian, Lawrence and Liam for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.